There's a place called a gin mill way down in the slums. There's a place called a gin mill way down in the slums. My baby goes that night and stays till the morning comes.
Hey! Welcome back. Another rendition of the Blind Pigs, and we're at a very cool place today, aren't we?
On the road
brewing.
On the road brewing today. Yes, it's pretty freaking awesome.
Pretty awesome. We've been wanting to do this for a while. We were at Kopacetic Beer Factory with the owner, Sean Manahan, Dr. Hoppenstein himself. Sean, glad to have you. And, of course, Tom from Creations is joining us today.
Yeah, thanks.
And we're going to brew up a little double IPA while we're recording and doing some coffee to start with.
Tom, do you have a doctor name too, or no? Do you have a doctor name?
I don't have a doctor. My wife has plenty of names, but doctor's not one of them.
Sean, do we have to address you as doctor, or can we call you Sean?
Yeah, Sean is fine. We're amongst friends today.
It's informal.
Well,
Make my staff call me doctor, that's for sure.
Before we even start, just, how things are going with, after we know the big pandemic's, slowly kind of calming down. What's been going on with you guys? How you guys coping? I know you guys, everyone's still busy, which is good, so.
Yeah, I think it's nice having people wanting to get out of their house and get out and see other people.
Right.
We're still a little bit hamstrung. I mean, I think it's all very good moves on how many people we can have. I know as a restaurant, we're at 75%. Tom's pub's more of a tavern setup.
Right.
So
50%. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's nice kind of getting to see people is a big thing for me.
Yeah.
We've been able to have people sitting at the bar now for maybe a month. It's weird being behind the bar with nobody sitting at it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's nice easing back into things.
There were a couple of places I saw that to get around the bar thing for a little bit, they took their high tops and pushed them towards the bar.
Yeah.
And you literally just sat.
You
like,
just couldn't serve. You had to go around the bar to serve them.
They did, yeah. They still had to go around the bar to serve them, but they had them sitting at the bar at least.
It's been very interesting going around to other places and seeing how they're playing the game, how they're manipulating really what they should be
granted,
doing.
everyone was still six. It was all still proper. But I like the whole fact. Hey, at least you get to sit at the bar. That's what they were kind of selling it as.
I saw news articles. Some guy put up like an electric fence or something around his bar to keep people away.
Wow.
Going the opposite way. But
how'd that go about 1 o'clock in the morning?
I'm sure. Yeah,
I
got
believe
pretty
that was
interesting.
in England. I think I was in England. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it's still good to
Pushing it
be
a bit.
brewing,
Yeah.
hanging out with people.
Did you keep brewing during, or did you stop for a few months and just get some stuff done?
I slowed down
Both
a
of
little
you?
bit on the brewing. It was an opportunity to fine-tune some things, to take advantage of it rather than sit at home and wish we were open.
Right.
Being able to tighten things up a little bit, do some maintenance that we weren't able to do while we're doing the curbside and delivery stuff.
Sure.
It's been an interesting year, to say the least.
Tom, how'd you do on the?
Yeah, so, we had to do like everyone else had to do, just get creative. We had a lot of meetings thinking about what we're going to do. When it all went down, I had 4 full fermenters. My bright tank was full, and I was having a no shit moment. Not sure. I thought at first they were going to shut us completely down. So I went 3 weeks without brewing. That was a mistake. The locals really picked it up for us. We had school teachers in. They're like, I cannot stand being at home with my kids anymore, and they're picking up 4-pack crowlers. I go, I said, you're gonna have a party? He goes, no, this is for me.
Yeah.
Should get me through the day.
This is just during the day. They can't see it.
Right.
And then for us, really, we stayed pretty steady until the restaurants opened back up.
Yeah.
Then we took a big nosedive. People wanted to get out. They wanted to go have their beer, go eat. That's when we really. So.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. A different kind of curve on that one.
Yeah.
Did you see your distribution levels go up when the restaurants?
Big time. When the restaurants opened up, well, let me start with when they closed everything down. I went and pulled our kegs from all our accounts, cleaned beer lines, and then we brought all those kegs back. Most of them were just fine, so we ended up using them at the brewery. And then as things are opening back up, everyone's getting fresh kegs again. So
nice.
We didn't want kegs sitting out there for 3 or 4 months.
Yep.
So
No, that's awesome. Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
How'd you do on your distribution? Because you were
I've got the one account.
Right.
I sell beer up at Riverside.
Okay.
And the state relaxed a lot of alcohol laws, and one of them that they relaxed to kind of ease people sitting on kegs was any restaurant, bar, whatever may fill growlers of anything.
Okay.
So normally the only people that can fill growlers are the brewers who make that specific beer in-house. And I think it was a fairly good move for them to do this with the restaurants, so I gave Riverside a handful of growlers just to try to move through what they had. They were doing a decent amount of carry-out food and delivery food. Same kind of thing. Get them work through their kegs and clean their lines and just get ready to go. And they've been pretty solid since they've opened back up.
Awesome.
Just a handful of kegs here and there.
You know, it's nice to have Tom here. Unfortunately, we were talking about setting up a show at Crazians just before all this mishap happened, and we were going to go to Wisconsin, and then
We had a lot of plans.
Yes, we had big
As we all
plans,
did.
and everything
Big
kind of fell
plans.
through. So we're going to get into Crazians here shortly. So I'm glad you're here with us today. But we
bought
wanted to
a-
get over there since we popped
Yeah.
in there. When did we go in? When did we actually go in there? Was that did we do a beer cruise for some reason?
No. We were doing.
going?
You and I were doing a beer run around.
We were just checking different places
Yeah,
out,
like we
right?
went. I think we went up to People's and then came back through for Crazians.
Yeah.
And then a couple other places. So I think we ended up
Brookstone,
here.
or I think
we ended up here too.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were just doing a beer run
But,
on that day.
Yeah, anyway, we fell in love with the place and at Crazians, so we wanted to get in there. So we're at Kopacetic today.
Yes.
And Sean, you've been one of our best friends when this is, in the whole craft business now. I think since the beginning, we met you early on, and when we started doing this, and always been big supporters of us, and we've been a huge supporter of you. Everything following you around, and now you got a home here, and we're so awesome to have you here.
I fell in love with
in
this pickle beer.
Monticello.
That's what
Yeah,
we
the
should have
pickle
made.
beer. Yeah,
Ah, the pickle beer.
that was delicious, wasn't
I
it?
think the plan, to do some different iterations off of the base beer.
Yeah.
It's a little
Yeah.
harder when we do bigger IPA, but
I think
we
that's
can do
what
it.
Sean. He does some crazy things, but he does them so well that he always, your mind works kind of nutty, and you come up with some wild stuff that just works. And
It's the 2-barrel, man. It's made it even worse.
yeah,
what it can
yeah.
play around with. But when did you guys start? I guess I met you guys maybe 14 or 15 at Flat
15
12.
was our actually start of the Blind Pigs. We were doing
Okay.
another show previous, but not the craft
So
beer
it would have
thing,
been it would have been about 15. 'Cause
Yeah, I think
I
it
had
was
come
15.
into. I wasn't living here yet,
Yeah.
so it had been down. It had been down downtown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2015. Yeah,
Right
Yeah, I
on,
think it's
yeah.
been.
'Cause I was,
God, has it really been that long?
Yeah.
Jesus.
yeah.
sharing. I was talking to some friends about, we got when I first hit you guys up on Facebook and said it's been a while. Let's
Yep.
do a batch. So I shared the Brews Cruise episode,
Yeah.
which was episode 200.
Yeah.
And I was
Yep.
wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of episodes.
Yep.
It takes some commitment. I got a lot of people that come in and they're like, man, the podcast thing would be great, and they bought some equipment and they wanted to try doing lining up times and
It is. And
having something to talk about. You guys do a good job about that, keeping the conversation going too.
We try to
Yeah,
have
you guys
fun.
do a great job. I love the Blind Pigs.
it's beautiful.
Mine-
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, especially there's more of us. We gotta keep things going, and we kept giving guys show up for different shows. So I mean, Paulie and I, it's easy for us to travel and do more
Yeah.
shows, and some of the other guys, they're more home based in Indy or in downtown Indianapolis, so we can do more shows with them there. But we can travel, so we do it. I mean,
yeah, I've just kind of. It's what I work for now. That whole 3 or 4 months off was wholly boring. I had no place to go, and it was just there. We had nothing. We weren't even we were trying to get a couple together, but every other week it was just another worrisome of So even small gatherings, everybody was just kind of worried about small gatherings and kids. And I'm like, nobody's been in my house yet. I bought a new house, and I built a Blind Pig patio. I showed Sean pictures earlier. I built a patio and everything for everybody to hang out, and then nobody can come over. I've never had my own house. I started building, and I had it all planned out, and I'm like, sweet. Now everybody can just come out, hang out. I got the big grill. I built 2 bars. I got a bench seating for everybody. I can fit 50 people back there, and
You've had 3.
I just sit by myself.
It seems about right.
It'll be. Yeah.
Like, thank you, universe. Yeah, thanks, man. I was really hoping to really have one of those houses that people come to, and then the universe said, "Fuck you."
There's always next year. But it's easy to have stuff to talk about because we go different breweries. There's never a dull moment. There's always different stories to every brewery and the brewers and the story behind them.
Yeah, I
and
love it.
it's just so much cool stuff we run into week after week. So it's just, there's never a lull. It's just been nice to, even get back in. We love coming here because there's always different stuff going on. The way you guys grow and watching you grow. And the new stuff going on, it's crazy and it's fun.
I miss the festivals.
Yeah,
Because we're supposed to have that Brews Cruise. We're coming up on.
Do you guys miss the festival? Because festivals are rough on the brewers. Because it's hard work.
Yeah, that's a big. Yeah.
I was concerned that after this all cleared up and they were talking about going on with some of these festivals, I did the same thing Tom did. I didn't brew for a couple weeks.
Yeah,
and then. All of a sudden, if you had a bunch of festivals coming up, a lot of times you're going to take a 1 barrel, so 2 half barrels worth of beer to these festivals. Well, I only make 2 barrels at a time.
Right.
It would wipe me out. So
right.
I do miss them. Mostly what I miss is interacting with other brewers and seeing the people and whatnot. It is kind of nice just to chill and
relax for summer.
Work back into it.
Yeah,
there's a festival every weekend. Really, in the
something we get to where Fridays and Saturdays there are festivals going on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it got nuts. Nice for for the festival goers.
Are you excited to get? Did you enjoy a little bit of the time off? I mean, think about it. This is probably the first summer you haven't had to do a festival. I don't know how much your festival stuff was going on, but I know you had a lot of winter. You were hitting some of the winter ones.
Yeah, we're doing quite a few festivals. We definitely support the area here. We try we put a 60-mile radius around Brookston and try and keep it inside there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we had a couple festivals for us that are pretty good money makers that are not going to happen this year. Brookston has their Apple Popcorn Festival. It's a big deal there. We're still going to do our apple popcorn beer. And then also
apple popcorn beer.
Yeah.
Isn't that all the flavors you're not supposed to have in your beer?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was always told butter and apples.
Well, for sure. I'm telling you, we do a 2-barrel batch of it, and if it lasts that day, it's gone the next. And I don't get it. But we get the popcorn there locally. And then we've got to take it home to pop it because there's got to be no salt or oil on it.
Oh.
So we air pop everything for about 3 or 4 hours. Some of the employees take popcorn home. We just give them a couple crowlers for the time. And then we had a place from Rossville where we get the apples from. We threw them in about 3rd day of fermentation, let them go for a little while. And I think it's got a reputation more than anything. I mean, if one person says this shit's really good, then everybody's got to have it. I don't know how far I'd drive out of my way to drink it. I hate to. I wouldn't say that in front of a bunch of people. Hopefully,
you just did.
At least 60 miles.
No, don't. I mean, well, we don't have that many listeners, so you're good. You're actually still good.
But I think people just go, "Holy shit! There's apple and popcorn in this beer. I gotta try it."
Yeah.
Well,
it fits with the theme too of the fest.
Sure. Yeah, that's all. Yeah.
We have to do it. We have to do it now.
Here, this is nasty. Try it.
Yeah.
I actually remember I think you opened just a couple months after me. That was 2017, right?
Yeah, September 8th, 2017, and then the Popcorn Festival was the very next weekend.
Because I remember talking with you as you were doing the build-out and saying it was going to be really close to the Apple Popcorn Fest when you guys got going. I remember you talking about doing this beer. So I'm glad
Yeah.
done it every year.
And, for me at that time, we brew on a 4-barrel system. It's a little, not your common type system. It's a Colorado brewing system. Some people call it brew in a bag, things like that.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure that out. I'm trying to figure out bright tanks and carbonation, and really that first 6 months just a blur. I was texting Sean probably once or twice a day, and I was like, well, I don't know what the hell's going on right now. This is not working right.
Sean, there's beer all over my floor.
Yeah.
What'd I do wrong?
Yeah, but we really leaned on Sean, and then Gray Gimmick down at Lafayette Brewing Company. He really helped us as far as our build out, making sure everything was legal, all the paperwork was right.
Nice.
So we had a lot of local support. And, at the same time when we're coming up, we're like, we don't want to make a shit beer. We can't make a shit beer because I know Sean had this discussion with me right before he opened up. He's just like, hey, man, this might be this person's first time to ever have a craft beer,
Yeah.
and it's at your place.
Yep.
So it's up to you to make sure you make a quality beer.
Yeah.
And I, them first,
Yeah.
that first year was a struggle for me.
Scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of struggles, I think we got a. So this is, for those listening, this is an actual live brew. Well, live brew. We're recording some of it. We're going to do our first bit at video editing on a release with this as well.
Sure.
So,
Nice.
so we are. What are we brewing today? Did we
So
get
we're
into
doing
that?
should end up around 8.5. We'll see how much we get actually in the kettle. Kind of a pantry brew.
Pantry.
So we're using all Indiana ingredients. The grains, well, not I guess all Indiana grain. The hops are in Indiana. But get the grain from Sugar Creek. They're close to Lebanon. So I think we got 110 pounds of the pale malt. We got 50 pounds of wheat. We threw in 25 pounds of rye, and got a little bit of carrot 20 and 40 for some little color and sweetness. So it should round out about 8%. We again pantry brew. It's one of my favorite ways to brew, especially on the smaller system, is just see how
we
it
get.
ends up.
What do
so
I
we gotta
got?
turn
What
up
do I
hops.
got? Plug in the numbers and
Exactly.
Yeah,
We're gonna pull out a
kinda-
big box of hops and decide right before we use the hops that we're gonna end up using.
we're just gonna blind. No.
We'll use this
No.
one. I said the hops I have now, especially with this pantry, are they're hops that I haven't used. Most of them are pretty high alpha. I think it's going to fit with what we're doing
Good.
with this
Awesome.
rye IPA. But yeah, we started right about 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were here. You were here early, starting to grind because you have a new grinder.
I got a new mill. Yeah,
You got a new mill. Sorry, yeah.
from Blickman.
One and only.
Yeah.
The only one in existence right now. It's pretty nice having that. It's an excellent piece of equipment. It really makes, I'm sure Tom could attest to this too. Oh yeah, you just got a new mill. You get
Yeah. For some reason, I'm like right ahead of the Blickman. Even when it come out with, he wanted to start doing smaller, for small
Smaller
breweries,
mills,
even equipment when we were doing our build out. I just missed that, and then in December I buy this SS Brew Tech, and Josh Miller's over the other day looking at a pump I've got, and he's like, "Oh yeah,
We just got it.
we got a new one, and it can hold whatever 50 pounds and all this shit." And I'm like, "Really?" And it's only like $150 more than I paid for mine.
What I find on the two
You're
barrel.
not on the right Facebook group or the.
I'm just not cool.
We have, with the two barrel, and like Tom was saying, he's got essentially he brews two barrels at the same time or kind of right after each other. But finding equipment that is, you're not gonna find equipment that's really designed for these systems. So you're either going way overboard with a bigger commercial mill, really meant for 10 to 20 barrels,
Right.
or you're using homebrew stuff that's not meant to be doing this
and
amount.
you're doubling your time because you got to
Oh,
brew
yeah.
it.
Oh,
in,
man.
You're milling in batches rather than all at one
Right.
time. You can't just walk away because you got to come back, fill it up again.
Or it makes sure it even works.
Yeah,
So I know
yeah.
we were both getting pre-milled grain for a lot of it
Yeah.
to kind of get around using these homebrew mills.
Well, you said you were happy with some of them because you milled one bucket of it, right? You just cracked, right? You were talking one of the.
It's
The
all
grains.
like that. It's
Oh, did we do all of it? Well, you
Yeah.
had one that was really fine,
It's-
but that was the.
that's the wheat, just because
Oh,
there's
that's the
no
wheat, okay.
husk, so it
Gotcha,
looks
okay.
a little bit more.
But yeah, you said you
I
were
like
real
a
happy.
really coarse grind.
Yeah, you were real happy with the coarse
It'll
grind
flow
off
real
that.
smooth.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
So we're going to take a quick break because
Yep.
we're
Yeah,
doing
we're,
the Vorloff.
we're probably
transfer
messing up
over.
the beer right now. So
It is what it is.
that's pretty much how it happens in our garage too.
Yeah.
Cheers.
This is Blake from Burnham Brewing, and we're listening to Blind Pig Confessions.
Hey, we're back. It's
So
all
it's our brew
Kopacetic.
day, so we're back. Yeah.
and he's copacetic today. Just, Tom Bullington from Crazians is joining us today and helping us brew, and or at least watching us. Don't make any mistakes, because me and Paulie can mess a good bitch of beer up pretty easy.
I am listening strictly to the
We're letting
the
the doctor.
doctor?
Yes.
to tell me what to do. So we took a break to do the next step. We had before we started the show, we were doing explain the steps we were doing. What we did before the show
Okay.
started, and then what we did on this last break.
So early this morning, granted, I'll just go over a little bit of everything. I started sanitizing our 2-barrel tank to get that ready to go. Again, brewing is a lot of fun, but it's 90% cleaning and sanitizing, so make sure our cold side is all ready to go. So I got the fermenter sanitized, we milled the grain, The first thing we did was it's called doughing in. And that dough in phase is we're mixing all our grist, which is our ground malt. Right. We got that all mixed in. Again, I was telling you guys, it's a very small batch, fun system. Mm-hmm. I know exactly how this stuff is going to work. So given the ambient temperature and back, I'm pretty sure we hit our temperature. But I was telling you, my thermometer is not on point right now. So we did our mash rest, let it sit for 45 minutes before then going into our Vorloft. The Vorloft is there to help clarify the beer, get some of the small bits of grain out, use the grain bed as a filter itself.
Right.
So when we did the first opening, that's kind of what was going on. And what we have transferred over to now is moving the wort from the mash tun to the kettle, straightening out all the grain, and running through our sparge and transfer at this point.
Right. So we're just letting that run for a bit and
pulling all that flavor out of
there. Because you're doing a very slow sparge.
Got to go. I prefer to go slow, especially with how much grain we have in this.
Yeah.
The colors and the sweetness that we're getting from the caramel malts, the flavor from the wheat and the rye. Go slow to make sure we get all of that. We don't want to leave anything behind, so get it into the kettle. We are going for a higher octane beer, so we want to get as much of that sugar moved over as possible that we've converted.
I think that's some of the things from our early brewing in the garage and stuff, probably didn't pay as much attention to. We just sparged. We didn't really go slow trying to grab anything out. We took the bag out and
I think
someone
that comes
started
with
pouring out a lot of
experience.
water.
I'm sure you were talking about different grain bills. You're probably going to go quicker. So, it's just experience, right?
Yeah, and I feel awful. I'm training a new guy in back, and I feel awful. I've been doing this for 11 years now, and it's just become such, not even second nature, it's just what I do.
Right.
That I find my description and how I'm telling people what we're doing, it probably falls well short of what I should be saying in training phase, because it's all just how my brain operates.
Right.
And so, you get into how fast should we transfer this beer versus another. That's just...
it's all there.
It.
It's hard to turn yourself into teacher mode. And really, it's you're trying to show him, and you're going to show him how your system works. And eventually he'll learn, more of the, how his own, whatever system he has. You're still getting him the base at least, though.
It's been a real, privilege to train a lot of brewers. I know we were at Flat 12. I don't know if we talked with Couch, right? Chris Berger. Yeah. I think he was in there with us with me and Easy. He is now brewing 100 barrels at a time at Sierra Nevada in North Carolina.
Oh,
wow. Jonathan Mullins, really good buddy of mine. He just dropped off some beer. We got Beardy McBeardface on.
Saw that.
So it's fun having a privilege of being able to train him a little bit. But when I used to train, it was more on these the romanticism of brewing and all these theory and whatnot. With my new guy, his name's Grayson. Just get it from A to B. If you can do A to B and B to C, then we can go over some of these more, I like to do it this way for these theoretical reasons.
Yep. He's got to learn the bait. You got to learn how to boil water before you start making anything
steps
else.
Down, and then you get into the why.
And I think we were talking. He might get you're going to give him a gold star on his report card if he can go through one day without burning himself.
Don't burn himself. Don't. It's a small space back in there, so don't trip over stuff.
All this stuff's hot.
I did buy him some boots. He's a 23-year-old kid. He's interested in learning, which is, you can't train that, right? So at least he's interested in learning brewing.
Right.
But day one, he was wearing these cloth Vans shoes or something. I was like, bro, I'll buy you some rubbers. You can't be doing this.
You mean the ones Dougie Fresh is wearing?
That's fine. He's in here 3-4 days a week brewing.
There's a little bit different.
I asked him if he had his boots. I brought my galoshes that we wore at the. I didn't have brewer boots, but I had some big rubber pullovers for when we were up in ice fishing in Wisconsin at one point, and the ones we wore at the Brewers Cup with our tuxedos and stuff. So, and I asked him, "Where's your boots?" And he's like,
"Cadillac."
I don't know. And I asked him how they getting. I have no clue how did you get them to Cadillac?
I don't know.
They're up in Cadillac, Indiana, for some odd reason. Michigan, sorry.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I can get some.
He's
bread
never
bags
worn
or
them
something.
again. He's never worn them since the Brewers Cup, and yet now they're in Michigan for some reason.
It's like
So it was-
5 hours away.
I
kinda.
know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. We have them for next time.
I was expecting him to be wearing them in
I got-
here. We're brewing. I'm like, awesome.
Get bread bags.
Yeah,
Just throw some over my shoes and we're good to go.
So I think I'm excited after looking at the grain bill and kind of how we put this thing together. I think this is going to turn out solid. I was telling you guys, it's got an air of Dr. Hoppenstein in it, so I've got a good idea, especially smelling what the caramel malt has added to this. Look forward to what hops we end up picking. That'll
Right.
be the next phase. We've got this sparge and transfer going. We probably got another 45 minutes on that until the kettle's full. I got the heat going. Once we get a full kettle, we'll go through and pick the hops. And we got that big, like Wheaties, Raisin Bran kind of malty flavor and aroma coming from the grain. So we'll want to play with that. But yeah, I think it's going to be good.
Nah.
Now, have you guys, now that you know the why and the steps, do you ever play with any of those just to try things that you haven't done before? Or do you even mess with that right now? I mean,
I do every single time I brew.
Yeah.
I do these pantry brews.
right.
Pantry brew used to be, and for most people, it's just like, well, we happen to have these things. Let's try to use them up. Pantry brew has just become what I brew. You know, I need to make a dark beer. All right, I'll just throw some of this stuff in. I treat it like chopped. When we were talking about doing the whole setup, I can bring up. It's just like, this is what I have. At the end of the day, I need a stout.
All right.
All right, so let's play with some of these ingredients and see how it turns out. So every time that I brew, it's a lot different than when I was brewing at People's in Flat 12, where you have to be on par with consistency. You have to
Right.
be making sure that the beer tastes the same over and over again, and you're only brewing maybe a dozen beers a year.
Yeah.
Having the license on these smaller systems to do whatever, I play with that a lot.
Yeah.
You still have your standards that you rebrew, no problem. It's no problem to
I got like
repeat.
6 of those.
Yeah, it's no problem to repeat. So
No.
Got to keep those loyal customers.
Well,
that
yes,
happen
of
to wanna-
course.
yeah.
the Hoppenstein, yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you know how to
You
brew a
gotta have it,
Hoppenstein, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
I'd be
yeah.
mad if that's out too long. They got to have that on tap.
And we were
But that's the
talking earlier
concept.
with Tom about the Honey Red. How many like core beers do you have?
So really, Honey Red's the only one that we keep on year round, and it's been on tap since we've opened. We do have Supermoon on right now, which is our summer IPA.
Yeah.
But we also we did a freezer cleaner, which we do once or twice a year, and it's on tap right now. It's called Hopped Up Mess. It's about 81 IBU, and it is a hopped up mess. You're just comparing alpha acids and deciding where to throw them in, and really I wasn't too concerned about the hops complementing each other. I was just going to get rid of what I need to get rid of. And
It's a hopped up mess. Yeah,
It is a
Yep,
hopped
just
up
get it in
mess,
there and
yeah.
let it go.
But yeah, really the only thing from day one has been our Harold's Honey Red. So
Now, are you using honey from? Are you using local products for?
yeah,
for that as
so
well?
Harold, I used to work with him at Ball here in Monticello. He's retired, just turned 80. He's been a beekeeper for over 40 years.
Nice.
Just down the road outside of Battlegrounds, Pretty Prairie Road, and he's got these bee boxes set up by the railroad tracks and the clover and stuff, and it's just the best honey. I've also bought some honey from Purdue. They're doing the boiler bee honey now.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's amazing how different the two honeys taste.
Really? Yeah.
For only being 15
A
miles,
few miles
maybe
apart. Yeah. Yeah,
But,
that's
yeah,
wild.
it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Playing with honey is another interesting thing. Like I said, just where they're at, what the bees are getting into.
Yeah.
Sure.
I've used buckwheat honey one time for a beer. I made a buckwheat beer. The whole concept was to do this gluten-free thing. Buckwheat is gluten-free, and it's not very strong in itself. So I wanted to back it with some honey to get some sweetness, to get some more fermentables, and we found this
Right.
buckwheat honey. And the buckwheat honey is like black almost.
Really?
Oh yeah, like molasses.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I guess honey is honey, but it was
It's not.
It was unique. Yeah, but it's not. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's all again, like you said, it's all about where you're at. It's all about where what flowers they're getting into and what they're making, and it's all kinds of variations.
I wonder if you could find like some beekeepers, Yakima area, or even here in Indiana, with just like hop honey. I wonder how that
Oh,
would
yeah, I
taste.
wonder- yeah.
I wonder if they
Do they
I
flower
don't know.
like? Do they flower
Yeah.
like that? To the point where bees do anything? I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I would imagine.
I don't know. I
But I
actually
don't
know. I don't know how
There's
they.
a bee expert listening. Let us
Yeah,
know.
say,
Yeah,
let us know.
That would be
please.
kind of cool to have. Yeah.
If anybody's got hop honey, I would love
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Just start feeding hops to your bees, please, and let's see what happens. They'll all be drunk. Bunch of drunken bees.
Yeah, we actually have a Belgian triple on now that we just
nice.
put honey in, and instead of any candy sugar or anything like that. And we tried it 2 different ways. One, we added it ended up being 19 pounds of honey that we added on the second day of fermentation. Had to do the math, make sure we kept the sugars where it should be. And then the second round, we added it at flame out on the boil. And I kept some cans from both batches, and I was really surprised. Couldn't hardly tell much of a difference.
Right.
A little bit there.
Yeah.
I was expecting to be a big difference, but I was kind of surprised.
Wow.
Does that mess up does the honey gum up anything or any of the,
Well, for me, I've got
Clean
heating
up.
elements to worry about. So if I'm
Yeah.
going to put it in a boil, it's usually at flame out.
Okay.
Just because, yeah.
Yeah, you start
Tearing it
burning
up.
stuff in and
Yeah.
start messing with the heating elements
That really
and all
sucks.
Yeah.
When you get to
Yeah.
the 15 minutes to go and you start smelling something bad.
Well, that's like when we talk to the guys who, like Guardian or whatever, who do like the pie beers and
Yeah.
they're just tossing that in. They said it is horrible. The cleanup's
mess,
awful
yeah.
and
Good minute, yeah.
and yeah,
gotta
it's worth it sometimes, but other times it's like, oh, that was a great experiment. Let's never do that again.
Yeah.
Because you're 2 days of cleaning trying to get it back to a pristine state to where you're not burning.
I think
know,
all
there's
brewers are a
nothing
little
left.
bit, they like the pain of going through cleaning everything. I like seeing a dirty kettle turn into a clean kettle.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes it's worth it. But
You know what you'll like even better? When your assistant brewer there does it for you.
yeah, I like other people cleaning stuff. That's
Yeah.
for
Somebody
sure.
else turning it into a clean kettle. Yeah.
No, that's interesting on the honey. I have never added like back sweetened the beer during fermentation. I've seen a lot of breweries do that. I know Burnham does that a lot, and a lot of people would recommend doing that to get your yeast going on, your malt sugars first, and then give them this really simple sugar, opposed to putting it. I always do it in like the flame out or in the kettle. Because then you're giving them this really simple sugar that is 100% fermentable.
Yep.
And a lot of times they'll want to eat that really simple sugar before going into the more complex malt sugar. Flavor-wise, maybe you didn't notice anything. Did you notice anything in attenuation?
Yeah, so when we do it in fermentation, we actually had to do the math to get the gravity reading where we needed to be. So it ended up 8.5 gallons of water, of course, bring it up, boiled, stirred it in, put that in, and then the third and fourth day, you could see the blow-off bucket just go nuts. So, yeah, I think it is a stress relief off the yeast by doing it that way for sure, rather than just pounding them up front. But then, that being said, I didn't add any more yeast to it by doing it into the brew kettle either. So,
When it's a chance, if you put it in on after fermentation's got going, you almost have created yourself a starter. Using those malt sugars, so now you have this bigger yeast culture to really go ham on that honey.
and it turned. I should have brought a sample. I didn't. Sorry.
That's all right.
If you guys want to stop by Brookston
say,
on
yeah,
the
we-
way back, I'll let the wife know you're coming.
I'm gonna take 2 seconds real quick, guys. I'm gonna go check.
Oh,
the
you're
kettle.
good. You want to take another quick break and
Take a quick one. Get
another
another beer
beer
to
and,
try on the show since we
yeah,
want to talk about that Rogan too, and then I think maybe try some milk stout.
yes, definitely. All right, cheers.
Yeah.
If you're a craft beer guy who can't get it nearby, do yourself a favor and log into Taver.
I'm Busey. This is Chili from
Dos
Dos Ringos.
Ringos.
You're listening to Blind Pig Confession.
Woo!
All right, back from checking on our brew. We did a few other things while we were doing that. Obviously, grabbing more beers.
Yeah, of course.
As we wanted to talk about a couple of them that we had earlier, and then we're gonna talk brew talk.
'Kay.
On our current brew.
We started malty today, which was just seemed like a good day to go malty.
It
and,
did. It's hot, but
yeah.
it's a middle of the road. I'm a little scared to go to the
to the dark
to
side.
the dark side today, just because
We definitely don't do a lot of dark beer sales when it's
Right, when
90
it's-
plus degrees
with-
outside.
Well, I'm not
with-
gonna sit in the patio and drink a stout, but I'll still drink one inside.
I might as, you might as well honestly just kind of sit there with a gallon of milk and just
Yeah,
this is great.
This is so good.
Milk was a bad choice. But no, Malty started out well today.
Yeah,
What
both,
did you have? You started out with what?
I had the Rise Up, and then you had the Ro-Ro, is the Rogan beer, which you want to kind of talk about a little bit, because the Rogan.
That was phenomenal, by the way.
Yeah,
And
well, they
so
both were. I love that Rise Up.
what is the Rise Up?
The Rise Up's
base?
just an amber ale
Okay.
with heavy-handed rye.
Okay, all right, that works. Which is what we're using. We're
Mhm.
using a little bit of rye in our brew today.
Cool inspiration.
I
for
love
the day,
rye.
Yeah.
It's-
I do too.
Well,
I tend to use at least a little bit in basically everything. that I
Really?
do.
It's spectacular. It's spectacular in the red whiskey. It's
I think it just gives it depth
Bread.
to whatever you're doing. I don't know.
it gives it. Yeah, there's a note to it that's just spectacular in cooking or or in your beer or in your whiskey.
Absolutely. But the Rogan beer.
Oh, and then again, the Rogan beer. Rogan beer is also
Rye.
rye beer.
Rye beer.
But the
Right.
Rogan beer is, I know I'd heard the term, but I don't think I placed it. And you finally clarified it. It's a malty rye Heffy, basically,
Essentially,
right? It's
yeah.
essentially it's got the banana, it's got the notes of the Heffy to it, but
Yep.
you've just added to the grain bill a little bit and given it a caramel, more of a brown caramel color.
Yep. So it's got our Rogan beer. Has got a little bit of chocolate to give it some sweetness. A decent amount of caramelts. Without looking at the recipe, I think it's 60 and 40 to give it that kind of amberish hue. Definitely a big dosage of rye. That beer in the Sparge, which we just got done over here, runs very slow. Rye can be very sticky, so that beer runs very slow. But it's another outfit for me to use my Hefeweizen yeast to
Yep.
get that same kind of clove banana feel. Then that complements the spice of the rye and the sweetness of the caramel malt.
It kind of.
We've done 550 as of 2 weeks ago.
Are you
different
shitting
beers
me?
since we've brewed. We
Are
started
you shitting me?
550 different beers. I
I'd
said I'm
ask
gonna do a whole
Tom
lot
how
of the
many he's
same.
done. He'd be probably like, no, I don't want to say.
Essentially, every time I turn the system on, it's something new.
Yeah.
But the
But that's
Rogan
what
beers when we come
Kopacetic
back
was
to do.
about. That's what you built
exactly what I
Kopacetic
wanted.
on. It was. We might have a few, and we might repeat it somewhere here and there, but I'm just
Big
going to
beer.
do what I do. But yeah, so wow. I mean, the color on that Ro-Ro was great.
It kind of plays with your head. I
It
think
does, 'cause I get the banana notes, I get the
heavy
clove.
notes, and then you get that darker beer, and it just kind of plays your head a little bit. And you're like, man, that, you have had that flavor before, but it doesn't fit with that color. And I'm colorblind, but I still was like, this isn't right. But it tastes so damn good. But I was like, there's something not. It kind of plays your head a little bit. But
I
it's so
actually think I
delicious.
like it because I like that that maltier kind of caramel, and more than I would a Heffy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like the Hefeweizen, I do, but I don't know if it because it plays with your eye, the color of it plays with your brain. So I think it's gonna have a different flavor, but I like the darker beers.
One thing here, I know I've said this with you guys before, a lot of it is exposing people to things that they wouldn't have otherwise.
Right.
And Rogan beers aren't the most popular beers. Not a lot of breweries are making them, even with any level of regularity, let alone random one-offs.
Right.
It's a flavor that I enjoy, and
Yeah, I know.
at the end of the day, I kind of fall under that. I think founders really put it out there and said we make beer for ourselves and we sell what's left.
Yeah.
And I enjoy a Rogan beer. So
Tom, you
It
look
fits
like
the
you had
malty.
something, and I think I interrupted. You looked like you were ready to say something on it on the Rogan.
No. I was
Have
just.
you had it? Have
I
you
have
had
not
the Rogan?
had the Rogan.
Oh, you
so
gotta try the
normally
Rogan.
what I do with Sean is I'll get a short pour because I want to try the light, the dark,
Sure.
the malty, the hoppy.
Yep.
So I got my short pour, and then Davey over there bartending gave me a tall pour, and I'm halfway through that, and Sean goes, "Oh, by the way, it's 8.2." so here I sit right now.
Yeah, he's not allowed to leave yet.
it's just too dang easy to make heavier beers.
Yeah.
And so, like, part of the design of what we've been doing today, for the most part, I try to use on the grain we use today, the pale malt, so the barley, the wheat, and the rye, we used whole bags and then a half bag. The caramel malt, you can't really use half a bag, 25 pounds, 27 pounds in a batch. It doesn't play very well. So by using whole bag increments, I either end up with like a 4 to 5% beer or an 8 to 9% beer. And I don't want to weigh out 20 pounds of a 50-pound bag. So, yeah, they tend to get heavy. That's for sure.
Manhan doesn't know what a 6%er is.
No, they just don't exist here.
There is no middle of the road at Kopacetic.
3.5 to 5, and then 7.5 to 9. That's about where they fall.
You know, I was looking at our board the other day. We got 8 beers on tap, and I'm looking at the board. I'm like, well, shit, 3 of them are 5.2%. I didn't even realize it until I looked at the board. It's just like Sean's talking about. You know, we put together a malt bill, and depending on your capacity and how much volume you want to make, a lot of times you just end up with the same ABV on accident.
Yeah. So when you're thinking up your recipes, do you honestly
concern yourself?
Do you concern yourself with that ABV? Or are you worried about flavor profile and the ABV becomes what the ABV becomes?
Yeah, I definitely don't design towards alcohol. Now, if I'm doing like an imperial stout,
right? Or
today, at the 11th hour, we added the 25 pounds of rye. 25 pounds because it's a half bag.
And I don't like to measure.
And, you know, okay.
I have a bucket that holds 25
Beersmith
pounds.
says it's going to be 8 and change, and so that works. But I'd rather design the beer for the beer that I like to brew, but also that I
you have in your
like
head
to drink.
That beer
right.
that creation you have in your head, you rather design for that than worry about if the ABV is 8, it's 8. If it's 4, it's 4. Does it taste good?
That's it. I design for
Okay.
the flavor, and you know, here having all the beers that we've had. So again, done about 550 different beers of our own.
How do you?
We've had about 1,800 different Indiana-made beers on tap since we've opened.
What the hell?
About 600 a year. It's pretty good.
What the hell?
There's a lot of beers out there, you know.
Yeah,
Now,
but
do
you
you-
don't got to
I do it for
make
the
them
flavor.
all.
Do you worry about when
What
you're
is this? This is literally beer Pokemon at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
It's got to
Yeah,
make
gotta
them
get 'em all.
Got to make them
Exactly.
all. Got to make them all.
That's exactly what it is.
You
And I'll go
You need to
far.
get You need to get fucking Pokemon cards for all your freaking beers ever
should.
made, and just have people collect.
It's not a
which-
bad idea.
Some of the rare ones, you know, I had
Have people
Function up here. When's
have-
the last time you had Function on tap anywhere besides Bloomington?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you should literally get cards made and give them to people when they order it, and see if they can collect them all.
It's a lot. It's a lot more than 150 or 151 or whatever it was.
Crap! It's Kopacetic Pokemon.
Do it in seasons, right? Season 1, find 150 of them.
Wow.
But I do like,
That's
you know,
crazy.
having been doing this, again, I've been doing this now for 11 years and made a lot of really good friends. Most of the people that I know and interact with are in the industry in some fashion. And so I really like bugging friends of mine that operate on a similar size scale, something that you're really not going to find out and available. And they're like, come on, man, what's it going to take? I'll bring you a keg. I'll fill it myself. Just let me in the back. I'll
Yeah.
fill it up. I'll pay you for the thing. That's how I got the Function keg.
Wow.
And some people put up a fight, but at the end of the day, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get their beer, and it's another notch in the belt. I think I've had 110
Wow.
breweries served here, and
Yeah.
I think in the state, now granted, some of them have closed since then, but I think we're at like 150 in the state right now. So I've almost had a beer from every brewery.
freaking
I just
brewery.
got
Jesus.
That's what we're
4-Day
trying.
Ray on right
That's
now.
what we're
That's the
trying
newest one.
for. That's what
Yeah.
we're trying for. But
It's a haul, man. When
It
I
would-
started, there were 35, so it would have been easy, but
yeah, but at this point,
Yeah.
you could almost do a whole show about trying Kopacetic beers.
Yeah.
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 just 15-minute segments of, oh, okay, we're gonna have this beer, talk about it. We're gonna have this, you know. But that'd go for 500 episodes.
I get a lot of
Well,
people.
by the time you do it, though, it'd be 1,000 episodes.
Well, yeah,
It's
because you
It's
can't
nonstop.
you can't drink
Yeah.
it fast enough.
Yeah.
Well, you'd have to pick a new starting point. You can't get back to him because again, he doesn't remake shit a lot.
right. Well, that's
Very
it's
often.
a never-ending show, so you know,
Yeah.
it's perfect.
Jesus, man.
I do have the recipes. So, like, I will have this pig IPA recipe in the computer somewhere.
Jesus.
But it's like
gotta find
running through my
Speaking
music
of-
files.
Speaking
Yeah.
of that, speaking of
Thousands
that,
of
I'm
recipes.
hoping you're backing that shit up because that laptop in your brew laptop.
It's on its last legs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you're backing all the recipes up somewhere, right?
I know the 8 that matter.
Okay.
You see, nothing else.
The
yeah,
rest of them.
Exactly.
Because
will
I'm
come.
pretty sure if you call Microsoft or Dell or anybody, go, my laptop's not working, and they were to remote in, they'd be like, even remoting into your laptop, they'd be like, your shit is clogged with oats or malt and,
Yeah.
and hops.
I tried to clean it the other
I've
day.
never seen a laptop that
It's
covered
pretty
in
thick.
hops.
It's pretty
it's
thick
miss-
in grain dust.
And it's still, I'm surprised it's still working because the monitor is just halfway
It's halfway
connected,
broken.
and you're literally missing a corner of the laptop.
Yeah.
I have 3 laptops in my backpack right now, and none of them look like that.
How many 4-year-olds do you have?
Depends on how drunk Dougie Fresh gets.
We're just really lucky that Brad Smith is a really smart guy.
Yeah, you can find
He
it
saves
somewhere
it
in
for
there. And I've done several purges just with how many beers and just different iterations of, I'm going to change the hops on our, I was picking out the hops for this beer, and the hops that I normally use for my cream ale I can't get them anymore. So now that's one more recipe that needs to go in. So I bet in total, between beers that I have brewed, beers that I've wanted to brew and just haven't yet, I bet there's 1,000 recipes on that.
I bet.
Fucking kidding me? Jesus Christ.
A lot of times, I used to use a program on my phone called, I don't know, Brew something. It's just an easy
Brewmaster
calculator
Yeah,
for
I think
making
so, yeah.
stuff.
Yep.
I think
I
Jordan
used to do
use
recipes
that.
on paper, and that
Yeah, Jordan did
sucks.
that, and then he left Jordan did that, and then he left the recipe book at Big Lug, and then a whole bunch of new beers showed up.
There we go. That's how it works.
Not really, just kidding, because our black IPA did not. That was our stout. Our stout
Yeah.
didn't end up well.
I end up calling them, for lack of a better term, I call them poop recipes. And I try to create a new recipe every time I take a shit. you know?
Wow. All right.
Some people
That's
can
just
make it play
creative.
solitaire or do whatever, but I like to
Making
sit down and make a
recipes.
recipe.
That seems to be a common thing, though, of like dads. The bathroom is their space where they get to relax and just think about things. Is that same, Tom? When you were when they were younger?
Yeah, luckily we're on our own now. So we've got 27 and a 24-year-old. So, but yeah, there's
That was
nothing.
your space?
You can't beat shitter time. I mean, that's,
Yeah, it's the best.
that's how
Second
you,
office.
Yeah. it is. I mean, that's how, like, if you're just really stressed out, just shut the door, work on a recipe.
It's shitter time.
And a lot of those recipes have been brewed and served at definitely People's.
Yeah.
Definitely Flat 12. 100% here. Yeah. It's a good time to reflect and think.
All right. Well, talking about, you mentioned a little earlier. So we went through. You dropped a box on the stage up here.
A box of
Kopacetic.
hops, yeah.
I thought it was a box of potato chips at first, but because they literally come in potato.
They look like
they
chip-
look
yeah,
like chip
you're right.
bags, man. So I was like, "Are we putting chips in?" Okay, whatever. That's all right. We're going there. But no, it was all the hops. So Dougie Fresh and I, he picked one and I picked another, and we ended up looking, and I think we ended up leaning towards a citrusy, peppery,
Just kind
something.
of, a little citrus and lemon and pepper yet to kind of work off that rye that we put in there, and I think it'll work well together.
They just go good.
So
We
what
got,
did we end up going? What did we end up putting
A
together? So
laurel.
we're gonna do a laurel.
Yeah.
Laurel and
Cashmere is
and
going to go
cashmere.
in the dry at the end. We'll,
Actually, we
we'll
got
dry hop
both.
that cashmere, both, but we'll dry hop the cashmere at the end, and that will give us some more of that.
So we're gonna use a pound of the cashmere and 2 pounds of the laurel now.
on the hot side of the brew.
Right.
Yeah, those will actually go into the boil.
Okay.
So half the hops. I think we looked. It's going to end up at theoretically like a 42 IBU, which is far
Is it too
below
low?
what balance would typically
we-
imply. But
Do we need to up? We
Well,
can up.
what I think is
we're-
gonna happen
You're the
is-
expert,
I wanted to cut back on the bitterness and kind of get more of a hoppier.
but it's a
just-
deeper,
but-
right? I mean, our core beer this is a double IPA, right?
that's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so shouldn't the IBU be?
So
IBUs
on
be
a
higher?
design aspect, what Beersmith says, we'll get there to measuring it at the end, says our original gravity should be about 1080 specific gravity. So, and then it says with fermentation, how we normally handle it, we should get about 8.1, 8.2%, right? So what you would normally look at is that 1080, or move the decimal place over in your alcohol content. We're looking between 82 and 80. And a typical 1-to-1 would be a IBU level that would be 80 to 82.
Okay.
So we are at 50% of that. However, I've always said that IBU is kind of an antiquated measure. It doesn't
I've heard that
really
actually
work
a lot. I've
with
heard that a lot.
how things are done.
Because I've had
Right.
an 80. I've had an 80 IBU that doesn't taste
yeah.
like doesn't taste hoppy at all. There's nothing, but it's an
And I've
80
had a
IBU.
30 that went, wow.
But it depends on the hop.
Depends on the hop
Right.
and where we're using the hops. So what we kind of decided to do was the hops that you guys picked have a very specific flavor profile. And to get that flavor profile, we want to, and to kind of design it around there, first thing we did was said we want the dry hop to be 1 pound of each. Again, the 2-barrel system really works out nice. So we got basically a pound of hops in the dry hop per barrel. But we want the flavors to come through, and then we went backwards from there and said, all right, well, now what's our Whirlpool edition going to be? To again draw some more flavors and get a little bit of bitterness. What's our 5-minute? It kind of worked backwards. And where we ended up is about 41 IBUs on this like theoretical level. But a lot of times I have this conversation at the bar of people say, I don't like hoppy beers. And I said, no, you don't like bitter beers.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between hoppy and bitter.
And that was a problem in the early days of the craft with everything was very bitter.
Bitter, yep.
And so they immediately, and what became the norm was that was associated with hoppy beer.
Yeah, and they're not the same.
You got a non-hoppy beer? Well, I guess you don't want a beer.
Yeah, exactly.
You have a beer with no hops
I don't like
in it
hops.
at all. I don't like hops at all. Can you
We've
give me
got a
beer
good
with
wine
no-
selection here.
Glass of water, yeah.
some whiskey.
So I think even though what this balance would kind of lead you to believe would be it's going to be twice as sweet as it is bitter with a ratio of basically 82 to 41, but we're still using 6 pounds of hops in this beer. 3 pounds per barrel is significant. So it would be definitely a hoppy beer. It would be balanced, so it won't be overly sweet, even with our level of caramel malt. I think it was a really good decision to pair a hop that has this like peppery spice note,
citrus, melon, and
to go with the rye.
Right.
I think you guys did a good job in picking those hops. I think the way we're going to layer them into the beer, it's going to work out real well. Yeah, I think it's.
If it comes
I think
out
it's good.
bad, I'm going to say Paulie picked them.
Yeah, of course he will. So what and I'm going to go into a little bit of something. So Tom and I were having a conversation on the side while you guys were putting stuff into the Frankenputer over there.
That's also my gaming computer. It does it. It works,
It
man.
works, yeah.
It works.
What and something you said and the way you were handling this last conversation made me want to bring it up again. So it seems there are such a range of brewers, and you not being such a stickler for 40
Anything.
IBUs, fine, it's not right. But so you are a almost what you guess you'd call an artistic or on the fly brewer in a way, because you're just thinking up things. You've got 1,000 freaking recipes, which usually is a over exaggeration, but in this case it's not.
It's legit. Yeah, it's probably a conservative number.
But I was asking Tom how he brews, and I said just because we've had conversations before and we've talked. He seems a little more methodical. Just you have a plan ahead of time, but I'm OCD, so if I'm brewing, I need a plan. You brew on the fly. I'm a planner. You seem to be, Tom, a more of a planner. I think we talked about, you plan out your brew days, right?
I do. I mean, I'm definitely the middle of the road. I'm no Josh Miller. Josh Miller.
But that's where I was going. Hold on. Yeah. So there was this range I was going to get to was for those of you not here physically, left side was on the left is Manahan. Then there's Tom. I put Tom and Mullins in the same. I'm not. You guys are kind of middle of the road. I don't know where Mullins would lean more towards.
Mullins.
I think a little more.
But
Mullins gonna be
Miller's
like left to center.
A little more left to center. Yeah.
And you're maybe left to center, but maybe center. But and then Miller again. And there's nothing wrong with it. Miller but Miller is an engineer. His shit is. I have this dialed in. I know exactly what I want. The math is going to work, and if the math doesn't work, I'm going to throw it away.
When Josh told me that if his parts per million aren't right on his hot liquor tank, he will drop the whole tank and start over.
What?
Like, dude.
No.
Yeah, he's.
God love him, and he might be here today. He's brewing. I think he's brewing right now.
One of our favorite
GABF.
Yeah, he's brewing. He's prepping for GABF right now, I think.
And he's going to come back with a medal.
He will.
Yeah.
That's what happens. If you brew to that level, you're going to come back. He's one of the most decorated brewers in the state.
Yeah.
Already. I mean,
He
that
is
was
incredibly successful.
I mean,
making
at
some
Indiana
amazing
Brewers
stuff.
Cup, he lost by one beer to the Flicks guys.
To the Flicks guys.
Right.
And
who he trained,
yeah,
who he
exactly.
worked with and trained, basically, I think. So, but yeah, I mean, he's for being as young as he is, he's got and to be honest, his beers are fucking awesome.
They're
amazing.
wonderful, and kind of on that same level, you have the Daredevil crew and the Pearson brothers. They're chemical engineers for Lilly,
Right.
so they definitely approach beer I definitely. I used to, be like, it's a little bit of science in this art, and I'm just like,
You're all art
I
about.
don't even measure the numbers 50% of the time. I just put the grain in, and I put the hops in, and Beersmith has given me my roundabouts, and
Well,
at the end of the day, the beer's gonna be all right.
Well, I brought it to Tom because we talked to Indiana City Brewing, and I was talking about the water profile. They strip their water out completely and then rebuild to a water profile based on a region of what, or like if it's a German beer. I was making fun. I'm like, they have that shit on file somewhere on the internet?
Oh, yeah.
What the water profile is? And they said, I can design water to taste exactly like it is in Bruges or something. It's like
That's a very expensive way to make beer, man.
Yeah.
it is, but again, engineers don't always. Engineers are like that, and then there's again middle of the road, and again nothing wrong with any of them. None of it is a mark.
Well, that's what we talked about
earlier.
earlier. Is there's no there, where you go, it's always it's
But
different.
you're all
Every
still
brewer is
making
different.
awesome
Every,
beer.
Exactly. It's exactly.
When I go back,
you like the product?
We were talking not that long ago about relating brewing to cooking and making
Art.
food and that's how like my grandmother. Granted, she's a fantastic cook. She throws stuff together and
See,
it always works.
You
but maybe
cook
she knows.
where Josh bakes. I mean, so
Yeah.
you get that where
I'm more of a soup stock guy.
Yeah.
He's like a muffin guy.
He's an Emerald.
the muffin
and
man.
Josh is a Julia Child.
Miller's muffins.
Julia Child, she had she had recipes, and this is how much you measure.
Yep.
And then there's Emerald. Bam!
How about this
I'm gonna
much?
throw some shit in it.
But
I use a little bit of that.
a little bit of it too, though, is Sean and I wear more than one hat too, and
Sure.
I would love to have the time commitment to be able to break down each one of my beers
Wouldn't
like
it?
I do, but I mean, it's just not possible. I mean, my wife and I run the whole business, and Sean's got a lot to look out, outside of
I almost
making
had the
beer itself.
bartender doing this podcast.
Yeah.
He almost did it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But he
So-
also knows with that experience, like we were talking about the malt build and stuff, and how much time it takes to pull out. He's got that experience because he does so
you-
much wild stuff.
And you do too. I mean, it
Yeah.
just
you got to have the time.
But that's what the kids are for, right? You get them moving,
Yeah.
and then you can experiment more.
It's really
I can't
weird.
wait. His daughter works for him. I can't wait till my son's old enough to work for me. Yeah.
He already does.
Nice.
I've seen him in here.
Yes, he's naming beers.
He works for me is a different thing.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
what 2-year-old names beers?
I know, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's
well,
true.
Well, he's run out of names at this point, so I'm not. You need the mind of a child at this point to just start
A lot of
naming shit.
Kopacetic names are. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the PJ Masks.
Yeah.
Yeah. We name a lot of beers out of the PJ Masks and the Ninja Turtles and whatever the kid's into at the time.
I pooped my pants porter.
People like it. You say, "Oh yeah, Porter." Name this one. Porter. It's how many people in the bar. They're always like, if Porter walks in, you don't often, I would say ever, see a 4-year-old just casually meander into the bar and walk into the brewery. And so most people here know Porter.
Only in Wisconsin, normally.
Yeah, right. Yeah, really.
So speaking of naming, and we're probably going long, but do we have to check on anything first before I go anywhere?
I mean, if this is a comfortable stopping point, we might be boiling. But again, who cares?
Well, let me bring. I want to.
We'll just start the timer.
Yeah, you were working with.
I want to ask something real quick. So, your 1,000 names and the names of your beers. Do you copyright that shit? Do you fill out some shit so nobody else can use it, or you?
What you have to worry
Because
about,
number one,
unless you're
your shit
canning
would be
or-
expensive at this point.
The way.
How does that? How do you copyright? Do you have legal? Do you file that shit?
Now this is a whole other concept that's getting
Yeah.
away from like artsy brewing.
Oh, sorry. Well, no, I
there
mean,
is like trademark, right? And so what the
Right.
trademark implies is that we are actively using this name and this brand in a specific area. So there's, especially in this industry, this camaraderie level where I would never name a beer Harold's Honey Red,
Right.
right? Because he's using it in this area, he's selling it in this area, and there would be likely confusion. So we don't want to do that.
You do enough courtesy to at least look up who's around you to not accidentally name your beer the same thing.
Right.
We do that for sure.
Okay.
I know Taze just ran into something. They had a double IPA called Man Eater.
Right.
And they started packaging it. And when you start getting to this next level of
That's
packaging
what I would
stuff,
do. Yeah, when you start bottling,
they
and
got a
canning,
cease and
that's what I would-
desist.
right.
And so I think now they're calling it Heartbreaker. And they're keeping the same logo and stuff. And this other brewery hit them up and said, we have now beyond a trademark, they have a registered mark.
Right.
And so they sent them the cease and desist, and Tay said, well, we bought all these labels. Can we please finish out these labels, and then we'll change it. The likelihoodness of confusion, which is really what all of this is based on.
For an initial run, at least, yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. I think he said they're in, and not Indiana.
They're in the East
Right.
Coast, like
Yeah.
South Carolina, North
Jesus
Carolina.
Christ.
Yeah.
And so they said, yeah, it's cool.
Right.
You can
Run out
change
this
your
and then
name
change
and we'll do
it.
this.
Okay.
But just so you know, we have a registered mark on
Gotcha.
Maneater for all beer. So what that means, too, is me and Tom can't use this.
Right.
Now, I guarantee you, with the amount of beers that I have named, I got one on called
Manahan
Beach
Eater.
Beauty.
Manahan Eater.
Manahan Eater. That's what I should tell Jason. You can go ahead and use it. I'll be okay with that. Beach Beauty Blonde. It's a beer that we tapped yesterday. I'm always thinking of names last minute, so I threw out Beach Beauty. I guarantee that there is a Beach Beauty
Somebody's
Blonde.
got that out there. And
But
yeah.
I've got my 2 kegs on. They'll be gone Sunday.
Right.
You're not.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, you're not nationally distributing where
Yeah.
it could possibly enter another market.
that
that's
chalk will be gone
Not
before anybody
Indiana.
can. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
So do you? But have you registered any? Have you registered any of your beers?
I
then I
haven't.
wanna ask Tom that,
and
too.
I'm never going to really
Don't care.
distribute very far.
It's just not where you're at.
It doesn't matter to me. At the end of the day, what's important to me is the liquid, and applying a name to the liquid is neat, and you can have some fun with the names.
it's
But
something you have to do. That.
Eventually,
Who cares?
I'm going to wait for a Manahan just to be called beer.
that's what's going to just be numbers, like
Beer
codes.
number 1001.
Yeah, I'm running out of names.
Like the hops. Most
Yeah.
hops are numbered
No,
until
yeah,
till somebody finally they use them enough and someone establishes a name, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Have you? So Tom, have you had to? Have you trademarked anything?
So the Harold's Honey Red, Michelle's brought it up a couple different times. She's done a lot of research on it. And she's like, there's no reason to do
No
this.
reason?
There really
Okay.
is no reason. I mean, we have definitely we've looked it up, and we're like, yeah, we just named something that's out there. It's a one-off batch. We're not packaging it.
Sure.
You know, we make a Supermoon IPA. There might be a Supermoon Blueberry Pale. I
Right.
mean, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure
So
there's a
it-
Supermoon
yeah.
something.
And I
Yeah.
guess
Yeah.
that goes to depending on what your aspirations are, or if you're heavy distributing outside of your state,
Right.
where
Yeah.
where you can easily kind of call your friends and say, hey, do you have a beer named this? No, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
You know, but so I guess it's as you get to distribution
Right.
level,
When you look at how
heavy
many breweries there are in the
distribution.
state or in
Yeah.
the country,
then you
everyone's
have,
trying
then
to
you
come up
have
with
to-
these
Yeah,
names.
you're naming
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
But then you have
day
to
you're
start
getting-
worrying about trademark.
Right.
Is
We
really
did-
when you get that production level at a higher point, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like if you're
Yeah.
getting into grocery stores and other things like that.
Oh, yeah,
Now you've
that's
got to
the
be
most-
really. Now your legal department has. Now you got to find a.
What do you
At
mean
that point,
Budweiser's
you're
been taken?
registering those. At that point, for sure, you're registering. You know, at Flat 12, we always had to look out for make sure. You're looking out to make sure you don't name something after somebody else if you're going to put all this marketing money into it.
Right.
But also, that's when you start watching to make sure nobody else is naming beers similar
Gotcha.
to what you have.
Okay.
We have, I know, Crazian and Kopacetic were both part of the Greater Lafayette group. I don't know if we have a
Brewers
better.
Association.
Lafayette Brewers Group.
And, and it's so it's Monticello, it's Brookston, West Lafayette, and Josh are in Crawfordsville, and Greg Emig, he's like Grand Poobah at a certain point of all of Indiana, but definitely in Lafayette. He said, hey, we should make a concerted effort to not name beers amongst each other.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe make
Right.
a database.
You know, or, a quick
Yeah.
untapped search. You can see
Yeah.
what somebody's name.
You it's Google. You literally should be able to look before you name a beer,
And I know-
it's probably going to come up.
Yeah.
Lafayette Brewing Company is not going to do a Porter's Porter. I know that. They know I'm not going to do a Star City Lager.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There are certain things that maybe by accident, if you do a Kiwi Blonde Ale. I just picked up 4 Day Ray, and their Blood Orange Blonde's name is Blood Orange Blonde.
Yeah, Bob.
That's an incredibly vague name.
Right. Yeah.
So, that might happen,
Sure.
but at least here in the local area, and then a quick untapped search. So, yeah, we try to avoid that. That's
Right.
for sure.
Well, I was just curious. Yeah, I mean, I was on.
That's a good
Go ahead,
question.
Tom. Sorry.
Now, I was just going to say, I just found out a couple of days ago how 4 Day Ray got their name. I thought it was really funny. I'm sure I'm the last one on the boat.
No, I don't know.
Go ahead.
So they had one of the employees in town, wherever it was, he always called off once a week from work, and his name was Ray,
Oh, yeah.
and he would work 4 days a week. 4 Day Ray. It's freaking awesome.
Beautiful.
man.
That's great.
Yep. Pretty
He
much.
still got a job. I want to work there.
Yeah, I know, right? All right.
All right, so let's go see if we're boiling.
Yeah,
we'll get the hops measured out. Again, we've got to kind of keep bitterness in mind. We opted not to do. We're going to do a 75-minute boil. We got a lot of high protein beers in there, so we're going to get the proteins out. We're going to get a lot of these volatiles out with the 75-minute boil. We're not going to add the hops until 45 minutes.
Yep.
Okay.
Just the nature of this process, isomerization will continue through our whirlpool. And then we have a long cooling phase. So instead of doing a 60, we're going to do the 45. So we can get those weighed out, and then the rest of them are going to be full pound increments. So it'll be solid.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.